Greetings, friends. This is Pastor Bryan Hudson. Would like to welcome you to this webinar entitled Protecting Yourself and Your Family Online. This presentation is a community service of New Covenant Church here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and a public service media presentation from Vision Communications and Business Stream Network. This presentation is about 45 minutes in length. I'm also pleased to have the support of the Pastoral Roundtable of the Community Pandemic Wellness Initiative, which is a project of the Community Action of Indianapolis. The past 2 years, since the pandemic took hold, has caused many of us to move towards some level of online presence using internet-based tools. Churches doing live stream moved from doing it as an optional luxury to a necessity. The word and practice of Zoom has become as well known and commonplace as the phrase catching a flight in the 20th century. It is ironic that many of us began using internet-based tools as a matter of COVID safety, but that the online experience itself carries a certain level of exposure to unsafe things. But the good news is this: it is not difficult to stay safe online, just as it's not difficult to stay safe from COVID. The key to online safety is similar to staying safe from COVID. 3 things: respecting facts more than feelings and opinions, which involves paying attention to experts, also best practices, and third, diligence. In other words, we must navigate well. This webinar is designed to provide wisdom and insight on being safe online. We've heard about internet scams, stolen identities, and online predators. Again, it's not difficult to stay safe when we follow basic guidelines and practice good habits. Our presenter is Mr. Eric Anderson. Eric is a technology interpreter and the president of Scientifically Speaking, a nationally recognized and award-winning speaker. Eric travels across the country facilitating demonstrative and educational programs on how financial professionals use technology and social media to build their business and improve client retention. He has partnered with hundreds of wholesalers and advisors for client appreciation programs, keynote events, and breakout sessions. Before launching this endeavor, Eric served as the regional business manager for Apple Computer, where his team of geniuses, specialists, and experts and creatives increased client revenue by over 300%. Eric holds undergraduate and graduate degrees in chemical engineering from Prairie View A&M and Auburn University, respectively. Among his other pursuits, Eric is a triathlete, a marathon runner, and an author. He is a native of Indianapolis, Indiana, where he lives with his 3 daughters. He is also an active member of his church, where he leads the men's ministry. Before we begin with the presentation with Eric, let me share a couple of things I've learned as a technologist and a digital media producer. It's important to have the latest operating system, such as Windows or Mac, if you're on a computer, as well as the latest versions of software for applications you're running. The same holds true for mobile devices. You want to have the latest version of the device, such as a phone or a tablet, or at least the latest version of the operating system, so that you will be current and safer. Now, I know sometimes we're partial to our old trusty equipment, but unfortunately, older equipment is more vulnerable to attack and compromise than newer devices. Now, you don't need the newest device, but you should not be working online with something more than 3 to 4 years old. The main reason is that manufacturers are always working to stay ahead of online criminals and people who work to attack vulnerable devices. The other important reason is that at some point in older devices, they can no longer be updated to the newer operating system and latest software. For example, I have a Mac computer at our church that we rarely use that hasn't been updated in a long time. So when I recently opened up Gmail in the web browser or try to get the Dropbox, it wouldn't open. Software creators like Google and makers of Dropbox won't allow their servers to connect to old computers with outdated software and less than modern security features. And this is for safety, theirs and yours. Sometimes when you find that certain computer programs or web browser-based services won't run or stopped working, it's because the manufacturers have programmed their servers not to connect with old computers and old insecure operating systems and software. As Eric will point out in his presentation, don't fall for those fake messages about needing to update your computer or search for viruses or other things. Don't click on any of that stuff. Just like in life, including with COVID, the most important factor to staying safe is your behavior. Behavior is the number one issue. So don't worry about the scammers and the spammers. You need to focus on consistently doing things the right way and practicing the best practices and be diligent in doing so. Now, this presentation was pre-recorded and is being broadcast to you. Eric and I will be monitoring the chat on Facebook and on YouTube as best we can. Feel free to make your comments and leave your questions during the presentation. For those who pre-registered and asked a question in the online form, we're going to respond to you personally. Also, those who pre-registered will receive an email with links to helpful resources in addition to items mentioned in this webinar. Let me encourage you now to share this with others. It's going to be good. It's going to be helpful. Again, staying safe online is not difficult, but requires, again, three things. Number one, following facts. Number two, best practices. Number three, diligence. Keep doing the right things the right way. Again, welcome. And let's go now into our webinar presentation of Protecting Yourself and Your Family Online with our presenter, Mr. Eric Anderson.
Pastor Hudson, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And now we're going to talk about how to better be able to protect yourself and your family online. This is a picture of my three daughters and one of their friends, and we're growing up in a trip to Chicago. And I love my girls. They're great kids. And I try to protect them. The Bible tells us that the father should be the protector, provider, and priest of the home. And I'm doing the best I can to be the protector of these girls. And I'll admit, I'm not a big fan of Justin Bieber. I'm not afraid of him at all. But this is one of the things that I really gives me a bit of a pause. All of my girls, all three of them, they are now ages 22, 18, and 14. And I try to protect them as much as I can from all of the things that are out there. They all have iPhones. They all have iPads. They're all on laptops. They're all online. Seems like 24 hours a day, as I'm sure many of your children are as well. And both fathers and mothers, it is our job to protect our children from all those things that they may not even know things about. So that's what we're here to talk about today. How can we better protect our children while they're all online? Especially my 14-year-old. She has almost no idea of all of the dangers that are out there, not just on her device, but also on Snapchat, on TikTok, on Instagram, or any of those other social media platforms that are out there. Officially now, there are more devices on the planet than there are people. Let's stop and think about that for a moment. More than 7 billion people on the planet, and there are more devices than that. We're spending 1/4 of our time on social media. So we need to monitor and watch our children, and in some cases, ourselves, while we're online constantly. If you look at the ages of people who are online, right, 1/4 of people go online daily, and those are children, ages 3 and under. How many times have we gotten busy doing something else, and we've taken our phones, we've taken our iPads, and we've said, this is our digital babysitter. Just give our device to our children and let them do what they may. We need to monitor and see what our children are doing while they're online. If we look at all the teens of people, what are they doing? It's not just on Facebook. Look at Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Google, Vine, all those things. And I don't even have TikTok on there yet. When I talk to my children and ask them, okay, so when are you on TikTok? My 22-year-old and my 18-year-old especially will tell me, Daddy, it's not when am I on TikTok, it's when am I not on TikTok. I've talked to adults who are constantly, who will be on TikTok or Snapchat 4 and 5 and 6 hours at a time. Those are the things we need to watch and monitor for our children. So these are our walking points for our presentation today. And the walking points are, when you walk out of here, if you would, these are the things I'd like for you to remember. First of all, what are the 6 problems and solutions that we should be proposing for our children? What are the software and apps that we can be using? And if you were live here all the time, I'd want to answer all of your questions for you as well. So the first thing we'll look at is ID theft and data protection. How can we protect our own identity when we're online? And as a matter of fact, our smaller children, when I say smaller children, 1 month, 1 year, 3 years old, how do we protect their identity? They can't do anything about it, but we can to protect their identity. They might have just been born, and we're going to talk about an example of that. They might have just been born, how to protect their identity as well. Passwords. I was just talking to my mother about this yesterday. My mother's retired. She's living the high life down in Florida. My girls love to visit her down there. She, like many of you, passwords are a challenge for her. She comes up with one password and saves that password and uses it for Comcast. She uses it for AT&T. She uses it for Google. She uses it for Apple. She uses that one password for all of her different software and services and sites that she goes to. And that is a big problem, and I'll tell you why. If a person, a hacker, hacks that one password, then they can use that same password for Facebook, for Twitter, for Instagram, maybe for your Chase Bank, Fifth Third Bank, whatever it is. They'll just go out there and they'll test it all day long. If they didn't know that password works for Apple, maybe it'll work for Google. Maybe it'll work for Microsoft. And for a lot of people out there, it definitely will. Here's the solution for the password problem. 1, don't just use a password. Come up with a passphrase. I am going to the store, 1972. Maybe that's your date of birth, maybe it's not. I am going to the store, 1972, question mark, exclamation point. Then, as you hopefully should be doing, when you're changing that password, you can maybe go in there once a month, once every 6 months, whatever it is, and change it to another year. I am going to the store 1972, question mark, exclamation point. I'm going to church, 1972, question mark, exclamation point. Maybe there's a book that you're reading at that time. I love the book Beloved. You're going to add in maybe your child's date of birth or even some random series numbers, 3842. Maybe it's your anniversary. Put that in there. You're going to need to include some asterisk, question mark, exclamation point, some other special characters like that. But please make sure it's not just a password that you're using. It's also, you can also use a passphrase as well. In addition to passphrases, I tell people you can also use a service like 1Password. 1Password is a great service to be able to use. My company, scientifically speaking, we use 1Password all the time. And the reason we use 1Password is, and this is a service that you can use, and it is a paid service. But these paid services, maybe on the high side, you're spending $50 a year. That's just less than a cup of Starbucks every month. So let's call it $100 a year they're spending on this. What 1Password allows you to be able to do is to be able to manage all of those passwords. So you'll have all of those passwords for your banking, for your child's school, maybe it's for your school, for your Wi-Fi networks at your home, and then you and your family can go in there and see what those passwords are. Best part about it is you can come up with your own password to store in 1Password, and you can get access to that password anywhere. But here's the best part about it is that password is not going to be chair, that password is not going to be computer, that password is not going to be church. It's going to give you a random series of numbers, characters, and letters. That way, you don't have to come up with that random series of numbers, characters, and letters. Best part about it is that random series of numbers, characters, and letters, it might be 64 characters long, and there's no way that you're going to remember. When you log in your computer, though, it can be accessed via your watch, it can be accessed via your phone, but there will be, count it, one master password that you will have to remember. Once you remember that one master password, you can get access then to all 100 or 1,000 passwords. So your kids, when your kids are off at school, when you're traveling, you'll have access to all those passwords via your own account, via your own network. So we use 1Password all the time. There's another service called Lastpass. Lastpass works the same way. And by the way, somebody out there, I'm sure, is wondering, well, how secure is 1Password? How secure is Lastpass? They are very secure. People like myself in the IT industry, it's 256-bit encryption. That is CIA-level encryption for all of your passwords that are in there. And you can get access to all of those passwords. If you want to test out 1Password or a LastPass, they'll give you a 1-month trial to be able to see how it works for you. But please, please, make sure that you're using a passphrase. Do not do things like get your pen out and write down your password on a piece of paper and then tape it behind the screen on your computer. And believe me, I have plenty of my clients who do that. I had one client who came to one of my presentations and told me, hey, you know what? I don't need 1Password. I don't need LastPass. I've got a piece of paper taped to the back of my phone and write down all of my passwords on there. When I need to change a password, I just get my pencil out, erase it. But the challenge to that is if you lose your phone, people can get access to all of your information there. So once again, to be able to better protect all of the passwords, and I think that the average is about 37 passwords that people have to use to be able to manage their lives. 37 passwords we have to manage. Use passphrase, use a passphrase, or use a service like 1Password or LastPass. And here's an example. Use complex passwords. Don't put personal information in those passwords. Things like your date of birth, things like your anniversary, things like that. Do not put things like that in your password. Your child's date of birth, do not include those in there. Don't use dictionary words. A lot of times people say, oh yeah, you know what? I just keep a dictionary next to me and pop that out. A good hacker, not a great hacker, but a good hacker will go through there and after 1 or 2 days of just randomly, and there are programs that they can use to be able to hack through dictionaries of names and words. 1 or 2 days, they'll get access to your passwords. And please do not store, as we're talking about, do not store your passwords in plain sight. So now that we've moved on from passwords, now we're going to talk about mobile devices. And everybody, we talked about, there are more devices now in the world than there are people. There's so many devices out there. I told you, every single one of my daughters, every single one of them has their own iPhone, iPad, and laptop. These Wi-Fi devices, though, can be very easy to hack, and all of our information is in there, right? Banking information, Wi-Fi passwords, names of our children, phone numbers, addresses, passwords, all of that information is right here contained in our mobile devices. So it behooves you as a parent, as a professional, to make sure that you're protecting these devices as much as you can. And in some cases, there's more information contained in your iPhone, in your iPad, in your laptop than there is in your own home. So if you think about these mobile devices and how to better be able to protect them, is when you go out to these places, and a lot of times, especially during the holidays, maybe the wife goes out and shopping, the husband wants to sit down here in this comfortable chair, watch Netflix, watch a football game, something else like that, and you see these charging stations over here. And in a lot of cases, you go off to the mall, and you'll see these charging stations, and they have the cord or the cable hanging down right there. What do? You take your device out, you plug it in, and you think, oh, everything's going to be good now because I'm plugged in. I can sit here and charge my device while my spouse is off doing some shopping. Here's the thing. It's very easy for maybe someone from China or maybe someone from Indianapolis, Indiana, to take their own cord or take their own chip and plug that in there. You're thinking, oh, I'm going ahead and I'm safely plugging my device in to charge it, but here's what happens. They're downloading all of your information. They're downloading all of the names, addresses, phone numbers of all of your contacts. In some cases, they're downloading all of your passwords. How are they getting access to your passwords? Well, in some cases, we talk about storing things in plain sight. What do a lot of people do? On their phone, they'll go into the Notes app. And we're not going to judge anybody for doing this right now, but they'll go into the Notes app, they'll put up at the top of their Notes app the word passwords. And then they'll list all of their usernames and their passwords right in that Notes app. And if they can get access to your phone, then they can get access to all of their information. So please do not plug your mobile devices into those random cords and cables that are out there, a lot of times just in the mall or other places like that. Airports are another place where people think, oh, it's so easy, just take my phone and plug it right into one of those charging stations. So please be careful when you're going off and doing things like that. I know they're convenient, but there's a price to pay for doing things like that. Now, a lot of times people like to go off and download games, utilities, other things they want to be able to do on their phone. I do that myself. I have, and please don't judge me for this, I've got 1,200 apps on my iPhone 12 right now. 1,200 apps. I know it seems excessive, but I go off, I do a lot of training around the country for financial professionals. I need to be able to show them a lot of these apps. So I've got 1,200 apps on my phone. Every week, I'll probably go off and download another 5 or 10 apps. So I go to the App Store or the Google Play Store to download a lot of these apps. So what do you do when you go off and see something that looks like this? It looks like Angry Birds, but I'm not really sure if it is. Here's the thing. Please be careful of the things that you're downloading. And when I say that is, it's very easy to be, oh, someone tells you about a new game. You go to the Apple App Store, you go to the Google Play Store, you see something that kind of looks like that. Is that it? It's free, so you go ahead and download it anyway. The first thing that you need to be careful of and watch out for is look at the reviews. If you're looking for something like Angry Birds, you're looking for whatever the new game is out there, look at the number of reviews that are out there. Meaning, if it's a very popular game, but they only see 3 reviews on there, chances are that's not the real game. So please be careful of the games that you're going out there, and not just the games, but any of the utilities that are out there. For those business professionals, you go out there and you're looking for Microsoft Word to be able to download for your iPhone or iPad. If you're looking for Microsoft Word, but you only see 5 reviews, chances are it's not the real Microsoft Word. So be careful of the types of things that you're downloading onto your devices. So the first thing I'm looking for is the number of reviews. The next thing I'm looking for is things like, I don't play Grand Theft Auto, so please don't judge me for this. But a lot of times we go out there and we're looking for free games. So I was talking to somebody once before and said, Eric, I never pay for apps. Why would I ever pay for apps? I mentioned one of the password apps might be $100 that you're paying for. $100 is less than a Starbucks cup of coffee per month. So I'm looking for a good quality app to download. I don't mind paying $5 or $10 for a good quality app. Now maybe games are going to be something different, but for especially those utilities that I'm going to be using every single day, I don't mind paying for those. So please, watch the number of reviews and don't be afraid to pay for a game or a utility to be able to download. These thumb drives are incredibly easy and convenient to be able to use. But if you talk to a lot of IT professionals like myself, they will tell you these things are a nightmare because you can't regulate them. I cannot password protect these types of thumb drives that so very easily plug right into the side of your device. Now, I know it's very convenient to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm good. You need this document? You need this? Here, plug one right into the side of my computer, drag the document right over, share it over to somebody else. But here's the challenge to using something like this. And think about this with all of your friends, family, co-workers, neighbor down the street, whatever it is. They give you a thumb drive. You don't know if there's a virus on that thumb drive or not. So please be conscious and cognizant of the types of things that you're plugging into your computer. So as we review, mobile device best practices, use your own charging cord. If you're going to the mall, do not take your phone and plug it into one of those random charging cords that are up there. Matter of fact, you can go to Amazon, you can buy a charging block. Those charging blocks might be $25 or $30. You can take that, take it with you, put it in your pocket, put it in your purse. When you get there and your phone starts saying, hey, you know what? Your phone is dying down and you need to watch Netflix right then, you take your charging block and plug it in. You may need to spend $50 for one that you need to charge your laptop. Not a problem at all. But please, whatever you do not use those random cords and cables that you see at the mall. Maintain control of your devices at all times. I know I've talked to my daughters about this all the time. They're losing their iPhones, they're losing their iPads, whatever it is. We've already talked about the volume of information that is always on your devices. Please maintain control of. Ladies, you're out shopping, wherever it is, and you've left your purse with your phone in it, and you leave it in the shopping cart, and you walk somewhere else. Please do not leave devices. Always maintain control of your devices. Only download your trusted apps, and that might mean that you have to pay for some of those apps, but believe me, it is definitely worth it to make sure that you are only getting quality trusted apps. Make sure your auto lock is on your devices. I've talked to my sister, she's a French teacher in the DC area, and in spite of the fact that her husband is the IT director for an architecture firm out there, she makes sure that both my sister, her husband, and their 2 sons all have the exact same password on all of their iPhones. Horrible practice. And to top it all off, it's not a random phrase that they're using. It is a 4-digit character. And she says, you know what, it's that much easier for her or her husband to be able to get access to those devices. Still, at least have a 16 character or phrase that you're going to use on the devices. It's already a bad idea to share passwords or share passcodes for your devices. But please, if you do, make sure that it's at least a passphrase. Malware. We always, on the news, we hear about a lot of malware. And the malware is software that can be easily installed on your computer. How does that software get installed on your computer? Well, in a lot of cases, you go to a site, and this looks like CNN. And you're thinking, oh, it's a CNN site, you're reading the news that's on there, but the news is not real news. All they're doing is downloading information. So you've gone to a site that you think is CNN because you clicked on a link somewhere and it took you here, and you think, oh, I saw CNN up at the top. Clearly, this is the true CNN site. This is CNN.com because it says, as you see, CNN up at the top. But it's not. We have to watch out for fake sites like this. And you look at it, and you click on a link, and you go to one site, and it says, click on this link to better protect your computer. And you're thinking, oh, well, I want to protect my computer, so I'm going to click on this link. What I tell people all the time is this. Click only on, go to only trusted sites. If you get an email from somebody, if I got an email from Pastor Hudson, it says, Eric, click on this link right here to make sure that you get access to my most recent sermon. I might think, well, why would he send me this right now? And more than likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the website and I'm going to type it in instead. Or here's an old school way of doing things. I might just pick up the phone and call him. Did you send me this link? When he tells me no, not if, but when he tells me no, I'm going to do that. Pick up the phone and call him before I'm automatically going to click on that link. I'm only going to go to encrypted websites. Even my own site, for scientifically speaking, it's SciSpeak, SCISpeak.com. When you look before that, you're going to see HTTPS. That S means it is a secure site. I had to pay a little bit more for that, but that is fine with me because I want to make sure that my information is protected and encrypted. And I'm going to be careful, very careful of things I click on. Even my daughters, even my 14-year-old daughter, if she sees something that seems kind of suspect, she's going to contact me and say, Daddy, is this real? If she gets something from her bank, and it seems like it's from her bank, and she said, Daddy, I need to click on this before I download some information, because you're going to click on something, it's going to say, oh, it takes you to Chase Bank, and ask you to type in your username and your password. All of my daughters know, maybe I should talk to Daddy before I click on that link. Or even better, I'm going to go to chase.com before I see the link, but before I click on the link, I'm just going to go to Google or go to Safari or go to Chrome and just type in chase.com instead of automatically clicking on the link. Social media. We started off the presentation by talking about us spending 25% of our time on social media. And let's be honest, it's probably more than that. Think about the times that you're on the bus, on the plane, sitting, waiting in a doctor's office, whatever it is, and you just want to jump on Instagram real quick. You just want to jump on Facebook. Or, if we're honest, we're probably spending more than 25% of our time on social media. So look at Facebook.com to better protect yourself. Instead of just randomly going there, click on the app that's already on your phone, or type it in on when you go to Google, type in Facebook.com to automatically go there. And here can be the problem with a lot of these social media sites. A lot of us think, oh, you know what? I'm automatically going to go ahead and something great has happened to you. Maybe your granddaughter, your grandchild was born, and you will set that information out there. And you know what? Here is the name of your granddaughter. Here's the weight of your granddaughter. Here's the date and the time she was born. You're putting all of that information out there, and what can happen? That information can easily be stolen then. And what happens is someone can create, if your granddaughter's name is Sue Johnson, they'll go out there and create an entire different Sue Johnson. So I know it is very tempting to go ahead and post your grandchildren's picture, their name. As soon as they're born, you want to excitingly tell the world, this is what happened. Please be careful doing things like that, because what can inevitably happen is that child, even though they're just 1 day old, their identity can be stolen. And now someone like this pops up. And now this is on a LinkedIn site. And you're thinking, LinkedIn, Facebook, whoever it is, it's a friend of a friend. You know what? You want to go ahead and click on this. The challenge to this is your information can be stolen then, because this is not a real person. You're thinking it is, but it's not. Maybe you're thinking the man or the woman is an attractive person, and you go ahead and click on it, and you get connected to the person. What then happens is that person then has access to all of your information. But what happens a lot of times is they can see where you are, or a lot of cases what happens is you're traveling out to the Bahamas and you get connected to this person, and then what happens is you travel off to the Bahamas, you're taking pictures while you're in the Bahamas, you're having a good time. That person can then see, oh, I can see that they're not home right now. They're not in Indianapolis right now. They're off in the Bahamas. Wherever it is that you are, all they know is you're not there right now. That person might not be in China. That person might not be in Russia. That person might not be in Europe. That person might be on the other side of Indianapolis. And all they know is you're not at home right now. So please be careful of the information that you're sharing with people. And a lot of people say, you know what? I don't have anything to hide. Why am I afraid of posting anything out there on social media? Believe me, you have plenty of things to hide. Whether it's your name, address, location, all that stuff can be used to steal your identity, or in some cases, just break into your home. Be careful of the volume of information that you're putting out there. A lot of times, LinkedIn used to allow you to be able to put your marital status, and they do still allow you to be able to put your date of birth out there. Definitely do not share the year of your date of birth. Maybe just the month and the day. You definitely do not need to share your marital status on LinkedIn, but please be careful of the volume of information that you're sharing out there through social media. Social media is great. I'm on everything. I'm on Yelp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on TikTok yet. I'm on all of those, but I'm very conscientious and cognizant of the information I share. If I go on vacation, I don't share. I'll take pictures while I'm on vacation, but I don't post those pictures while I'm on vacation. So never ever give up your location from a social media best practice. Don't post while you're on vacation. Other people, I'm in the moment right now. You don't have to share that information right now. Don't give sites everything. A lot of times, when you're first filling out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Yelp, whatever it is, they're going to ask you for things. Date of birth, your friends, all that information, you don't have to give them all the information. If they're asking for your date of birth, make something up. Give them a different year. Do they have to send you a birthday notification? No. Get that from your best friends. You don't need to get that from Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And please be careful who you invite or the invitations that you accept. For my company, we actually have a process that we go through when there are only certain clients to whom we're going to reach out to. And when someone sends me an invitation to connect on LinkedIn, I've talked to some financial advisors who say, you know what? I accept every single LinkedIn invitation that comes in because I don't know where my next client is going to come from. For me, I look and say, okay, well, are they a third-degree connection? Well, do I really need to be connected to this person? Is this person who is reaching out to me, are they really the head of Chase Bank? Are they really is the CEO of Eli Lilly and Company really reaching out to me on Facebook? Is he really reaching out to me on LinkedIn? Is that really who it is? I might investigate a little bit further, but more than likely, I'm just going to decline. Wi-Fi networks are critical. When I came here to Pastor Hudson's church, one of the first things he offered me, Eric, would you like to connect to our Wi-Fi network? I didn't need to this time. I have my own Wi-Fi network, but please be careful of the Wi-Fi networks that you connect to. A lot of times, Wi-Fi Mapper and Free Wi-Fi Finder, these are apps that you can, oh yes, wherever I am, wherever I'm doing, I can just go ahead and connect to their Wi-Fi network, and my connection is going to be that much faster. The challenge to doing something like that is that when you do, you have access to that network, but so does everybody else. Everybody else can connect to the network as well. So please be careful when the networks that you're connecting to. Everyone loves to work from home now. They love to work from Starbucks, wherever it is they are. And it's so convenient with, unfortunately, coronavirus and the other things that are going on. It's so easy to go in and connect to a Wi-Fi network, whether it's the Starbucks network or Panera Bread, whatever it is. The challenge to it is hackers can very easily do it as well. And when hackers connect to it, especially a wide open network like that, they can get access to your information or anybody else that's in there. If we look at this young lady, she was over in England, 70 years old. And now this was a good kind of white hat hacker situation. And what happened was she's 70 years old. It took them 15 minutes to train her. They gave her a laptop, took them 15 minutes to train her on how to sit there and watch everybody's password and all the things that they were doing while they're on that same network. So there's a challenge to that is, you're there, and a lot of people they go to Starbucks, they go to Panera. Real quick, let me just do some quick banking. Let me just send some quick emails. While you're there on that open network, other hackers, if they want to, if they're not the good guys, they can go in and download your information right from your laptop. So as Wi-Fi best practices are, connect to only secure networks. Don't use personal information while you're on those networks. As we're talking about banking and a lot of personal things that you're doing, you're typing in passwords. Watch what you're doing on some of those open networks. Even when you go to I do a lot of traveling all over the country, at least I used to. When I did, I go to a hotel. Hilton, Marriott, wherever it was, I would not automatically connect to their networks. Those open networks, because I don't know if they're encrypted. I don't know who else is all on those networks. So I'm very careful of conscientious of the Wi-Fi networks that I'm connecting to. And only go to encrypted sites. As we're wrapping up, email scams they're not just for the elderly that are out there, right? A lot of people get fraudulent emails that come in. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And you get those emails, it says it's coming from Pastor Hudson. Is it really? I'm not really sure. But she just sells health and diet scams, easy money, work from home making $10,000 a week, investment opportunities, chain letters, whatever it is. You'll see those and you think, might be nice to make $5,000 or $10,000 while I'm working from home. So be careful of those emails as they're coming in. One of the things we teach our employees to be able to do is, you see that email that comes in from Pastor Hudson, before you do anything, before you click on any link, take your cursor and hover it over Pastor Hudson's name or supposed email. Maybe you click on the email, not the link that says this is the newest sermon, but just hover it over his email and see if that's actually from his email. In a lot of cases, it's not. For all parents that are out there, look at things like Net Nanny as you're trying to monitor and see what your kids are doing. A lot of times early on when my kids were a lot younger, I used Net Nanny to be able to watch out and see what sites they were going to. Net Nanny allows you to be able to see and monitor those mobile devices, those laptops, and those desktops. As a matter of fact, with your Apple computers now, and this is free and built into your devices, now you can go in and see how much time are they spending on those networks. You can go in and block and say, you know what, you have no access to YouTube from 12 a.m. until 6 a.m. You can go in and say the Wi-Fi is going to shut down at midnight, at 11 p.m. at night. You can go in and very easily control those with Net Nanny or a lot of other services that are out there. We start off talking about the children and we're getting in with the children. These are the people that you're trying to protect. It's not just going to be the kids, though. You want to protect your spouse. You want to protect your ID. You want to protect your identity. And you want to be able to protect yourself. So we're going to put links to a lot of these resources in the description for the video today. Pastor Hudson, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to speak to you, your congregation, and as well the community. My name is Eric Anderson. I'm President and National Training Director of Scientifically Speaking. Here's my phone number and email. As I said, I'm out there on all these social media sites. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Again, this is Pastor Hudson. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. I pray that you were informed and educated and have more confidence about how to be safe online. Please connect with us. The information to contact Eric is on the screen. Reach out to us at New Covenant Church via the website. I believe God has given us these tools, and we want to make the best use of them. And so thank you for being with us, and I pray you were informed and educated. So God bless you, and we'll see you next time.